Good morning. It's Monday, August 15th. And the other day, Salman Rushdie, the author, was attacked while giving a talk. He was attacked by a 24-year-old New Jersey man named Hadi Matar. So Rushdie is the author of a book called The Satanic Verses. And in that book, he criticized Islam. So, the Ayatollah Khomeini of Iran put what is known as a fatwa on his head. And there's a $3 million bounty offered for his murder. Now, that caused Rushdie to live in some sort of isolation for many, many years, not appearing too often in public. But recently, he has been more visible. And now he's recovering in a hospital. And he may lose his eye. Now, Rushdie's book, The Satanic Verses, was published in 1989. So he has been under attack for 30-some-odd years. But he has never apologized for his work of art that offended the delicate sensibilities of some religious people. Now let's look at the world in general. When we talk about writing and free speech, in 40% of the world there is no such thing as free speech. And people get jailed when they criticize the government that they're living under, or when they criticize the leading religion in particular countries, which is essentially what Rushdie did. He criticized Islam. Now, when we look at this country, in the United States, where we have free speech, supposedly, we have a major problem with our literary views. We have people who don't want books in libraries. We have people who don't want to discuss or read about sexual persuasions and things like that. So we talk about free speech, but is there really free speech when you have people that object to everything somebody says? Now, religion is a very delicate subject, and they do not accept criticisms. Those who have severe religious beliefs do not accept criticisms of their religion, even though those criticisms may be valid. Or maybe they're not valid, but what's the difference? If we're living under a world where we allow free speech, then anything goes. Except, you can't yell fire in a movie theater and there's no fire. You can't do things like that. But in a world where we claim there's free speech, there should not be any question about what is put in libraries and what is taught in schools. We cannot have people objecting to free speech because it doesn't suit their beliefs. Every belief is not rock solid. Every belief is not perfect. We can't afford in the world and in the United States to have people who will not accept what somebody else's opinion is. I do not believe that any criticism is a crime. Now, you can insult persons and make them feel bad. Now, that's a problem. But people have to stand up and recognize the fact that the person who insulted them is probably not that great a person. And maybe they are a great person, and maybe the criticism is valid, but you don't want to accept it. There are those situations. Every one of us has faced a situation in our lives where we are uncomfortable. And we have to look past that. We have to learn to live within our society. And you can have opinions that others don't like, but you should be able to express those opinions and accept the criticisms. You can accept them and say, maybe this guy's right, or you can accept them and say, he's wrong, and I will not change my mind. But free speech, that's what free speech is. It's free. It allows you to say what's on your mind. And yes, sometimes people go too far, and sometimes people have no sensibilities, and it's an insult to the thing they say. And so then, if you recognize that fact, don't be ashamed to apologize. But then we have those who are uncontrollable. I'll call them uncontrollable. When they resort to violence over what somebody has said. And we have people who drive cars into rallies because they object to the rally or they object to the group. And that behavior is unacceptable. That's going over the edge. It's one thing to verbally disagree with a person and to state your opinions, which may be different from the opinions that they are expressing. But once you bring in violence, you're out of whack. You're off base, even if you may be correct. But violence has no place in a free speech society. So if you believe in free speech, you must believe in the right to offend somebody. And you must recognize the fact that while somebody says something that's offensive, if that is truly their opinion, then it's acceptable free speech. Everybody has a right to their opinion and a right to express it. The right to express it properly is even more of a benefit because everybody does not necessarily have the brain power to express their disagreements properly and respectfully. And many of us haven't developed that skill set yet. And then there are those of us who deliberately want to put people on edge. And that's an acceptable trait also if the listeners understand it. And they can say, oh, he's a jerk, and let it go with that. But free speech is free speech. And it's actually, when we consider it, it is the right to offend somebody. Because if we can't offend people, then we may not have the ability to change their minds, to get them thinking about the possibilities that they are incorrect, that their thoughts are incorrect, that maybe their thoughts are damaging to the rest of society. That's a terrible thing for people to come to the realization that they are jerks. But that's what free speech gives us, the ability to point that out to many people. So I will leave you with that this morning. Free speech is a wonderful thing. It may be offensive from time to time, but it's well worth being able to have it. So have a great day, and I'll see you in the morning. Bye.